Madam President.
Senator from Arizona.
Madam President, I ask the unanimous consent that the Senator from Tennessee lead in a colloquy, including the Senator from Oklahoma, the Senator from Wyoming, and myself, and the Senator from Kentucky.
Without objection.
Well, I thank the Senator from Arizona. I was thinking as I listened to the Republican leader of the, I wonder if the Senator noticed the Governor of California's comments on Monday. Governor Schwarzenegger said on Good Morning America that he supports the idea of overhauling health care, but, quote, the last thing we need, said Governor Schwarzenegger, is another $3 billion in spending when we already have a $20 billion deficit. He was referring to one of the unintended consequences of this bill, which are big state costs for Medicaid being shifted to the states, unfunded mandates. So here's Governor Schwarzenegger's advice following up the comments of the leader. So I would say be very careful to the federal government. This is from the Governor of California. Before you go to bed with all this, let's rethink it, said Governor Schwarzenegger. There's no rush from one second to the next. Let's take another week or two. Let's come up with the right package. I wonder if the Senator saw that.
I thank the Senator from Tennessee, who also understands this issue as well or better than anyone, having been a governor and recognizing the problems that the governor faces. And could I step back a second? Governor Schwarzenegger is a very astute observer of the political scene. May I point out to my colleagues this morning's U.S. News and World Report, Democrats' blues grow deeper in new poll, and then support for health care overhaul wanes. Some remarkable information concerning the mood and views of the American people following on a Washington Post ABC News poll out yesterday. There's 51% of Americans say they oppose the proposed changes to the system, 44% approve. Thanks to the efforts of so many people, including our leadership, we have turned American public opinion because we've been informing them of the consequences of passage of this legislation. Let me just quote from the Wall Street Journal article. According to more Americans now believe it is better to keep the current health system than to pass President Barack Obama's plan, according to a new Wall Street Journal NBC News poll. The findings mark a shift from the fall when the overhaul enjoyed an edge over the status quo. According to the poll, 44% of Americans said it's better to pass no plan at all, compared with 41% who said it's better to pass the plan. What they're saying is, don't do this government takeover, don't increase your taxes, don't increase spending, don't increase the costs. And it's remarkable shift thanks to informing the American people. And could I just mention one other statistic to a couple of other points made in this poll in the U.S. News and in the Wall Street Journal. In September, 45% of Americans said they wanted the plan passed. 39% wanted to, quote, keep the current system. In December, only 41% of the American people want it passed, and 44% say keep the current system. And then, of course, we have another interesting statistic. Trust that the government will do what is right. 21% say always, most of the time. 46% say only some of the time. And 32% of the American people say almost never. And, of course, the anger and disapproval of this health care plan right now is the centerpiece of Americans' dissatisfaction in the way we do business. And let me just finally add, because my colleagues are there, we don't have a bill. We don't have a bill. Here we've been debating all this time, and we do not have legislation. Now, this was one of the bills we were presented with, but We don't have. We know that significant changes are being made behind closed doors. We don't have a CBO estimate of the costs, do we? We understand that they keep sending estimates over to CBO, and it comes back, and so they send them back, which probably is why last week the senator from Illinois, the number 2 ranking Democrat, said to me, "I don't know what's in the bill either." I've got an exact quote. He said, "I would say to the senator from Arizona that I'm in the dark almost as much as he is, and I'm in the leadership." That's an interesting commentary. And, of course, the issue of the protection of the rights of the unborn is still unclear. That is a big issue with a lot of Americans. It's a big issue with me. And I know it's a big issue with my colleagues. So here we are, back off of the bill itself, and apparently we're going to have kind of vote on Christmas Eve or something like that. What the American people are saying now, when they're saying keep the status quo, they're saying stop. Go again, sit down in a bipartisan basis, and let's get this done, but let's get it done right. Americans know that Medicare is going broke. Americans know that costs are rising too quickly. But Americans want us to do this right, and not in a partisan fashion, and not with a bill that costs too much, taxes too much, and deprives people of their benefits.
The senator from Arizona, I thank him for his comments, and I see that we have 2 physicians in the Senate, Dr. Coburn from Oklahoma, Dr. Barrasso from Wyoming, and I wonder if they would bear with me for just a minute or two to reflect on something that the minority leader said. I hope the majority leader before too long, but the senator from Arizona, the minority leader, the Republican leader, talked about a historic mistake. There's been a lot of talk around here about making history on health care. Problem is, there's many different kinds of history, as the Republican leader has pointed out. It seems our friends on the other side are absolutely determined to pursue a political kamikaze mission toward a historic mistake, which will be disastrous for them in the elections of 2010, but much more important, bad for the country. I did a little research on historic mistakes. We've made them before in the United States Congress, and maybe we'd be wise to take Governor Schwarzenegger's advice and slow down and stop and learn from our history rather than try to top our previous historic mistakes, like the Smoot-Hawley tariff. That sounded pretty good at the time in 1930, when the idea was